Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yashar Barakathah, the Pakia Dawada, and coming to you with another new moon. And it just again, Shalom, everybody. This one will be on idleness, idle time, things you say, idle words, and just the word idle in itself throughout the Bible. I'll get a few scriptures, just yapping, wasting your time, being a sluggard, um, the way a lot of people might waste their time sleeping, might waste their time on the game all day, might waste their time. I mean, being idle, you could still be doing something in that moment. That doesn't mean you're just sitting there staring at the wall, but you're not progressing for the Lord, not progressing in your life, or you're just wasting your days. Idle, just wasting time. We're going to get into scriptures why that's not a good thing. So, and also how to fix it. Let's start off with 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 13. It's in the KJV. And withal, they learn to be idle. So idle is something that can be learned to become. And then over time, you just realize when you look back at your days, and you don't even, there's really no difference in them. They become idle, time wasted days. It says wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers also and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. You got gossip, tattlers and busybodies, people, just yapping, gossiping, um, idle words, things that are just of no importance, nothing for the Lord, just wasted time. See, it's calling them idle, but it also says they go about from house to house. They're just all over the place, everywhere but where they need to be, just wasting their days, spreading rumors, all those type of things, speaking things which they ought not. Tie that in with a precept. You got Matthew 12 and 36. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. So I wanted to start off with our words, and then we'll move down to our works in the physical labor and all those type of things, but also things for the spirit. It says every man shall give account every idle word. What would an idle word be? In your everyday conversations while you're at work, especially being in the workforce, sometimes you might have some crazy coworkers. When I say crazy, I just mean like the conversations that they have, or just out there in the world around certain people. Maybe you're in school, maybe you're in this, maybe you're in that. You're going to be around people. And we can't let that influence on our conversation, because then you get a lot of these idle words where you'll have to take account on the day of judgment. I mean, um, when you're surrounded by a body and righteous people, for the most part, everything, God willing, be in the spirit. But idle words could be when you're alone, things that you might say if you speak to yourself, have dialogues with yourself, but also in these conversations you have with people that may not fear God. If they have an influence on you to where now you guys are just talking about pure foolishness, and really, and then you start talking in certain ways that to the Lord, that's not the spirit that we should be in. It says every idle word that men shall speak. So you'll have to take account of everything that you say on the day of judgment, whether that be something that, it could be just foolish talk, or it could be something hurtful towards somebody, offensive. You could be a jerk, all these type of things. You can offend people. You can, there's a lot of ways you can spin this, but the matter here is that it doesn't matter how you spin it. You're going to give account to every word on the day of judgment. All of these idle words, and just in First Timothy, we read how it talks about these people, tattlers, busybodies, speaking things they ought not. Just running around, if you're out here spreading rumors, gossip, you're gonna have to take account for that. Or if you're out here just saying things of really no meaning, like meaning like in the sense of like foolishness, joking around and stuff, we're not gonna, you could play around all those type of things, but it has to be in the right spirit. And then also, really, when it says the idle word, I mean, it's every single thing that you say, even things that you might might not even remember. Things that just slip through in your daily conversation or whatever. You're gonna have to give account in the day of judgment. Everywhere. So let's learn how to speak. So what does the Bible tell us to pursue? You got Romans 14 and 19. Let us pursue the things which make for peace and the things by which one may edify another. So when we're in our conversations or we're not being busybodies and spreading rumors and gossip and just saying whatever, and when we're giving account on the things that we speak, every single word, let's be the ones that may edify another. And it tells us, let us pursue these things. So to go after those things that make peace and edify another. That's a wide umbrella. If you go throughout the scriptures, you'll see things like Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, fear God and keep the commandments, but it's the whole duty of man. Wouldn't that be something that is edifying to somebody to give them? Scriptures, that's edifying. Or breaking down of the scriptures. Oftentimes, even people that I know, will start talking about the scriptures, and I love whenever the scriptures come up because it gives you a real chance to edify somebody. Not often or all the time do you get to really try to edify someone. And then also somebody, a righteous edifying you. And now you're just listening and learning. Let us pursue the things which make for peace. So we're pursuing after that. The edifying of other people and the edifying of our own self through the Lord. From Mashiach Yahushua. So as we pursue these things, let's watch our idle words, the things that we just say. When you go go home and get ready for bed at night, you just think of, your conversation. I shouldn't have said that. That's not really me or this, you know, let's take account of all those things. Let's remember these scriptures throughout the day, every day, that the Lord is going to take account. What would be another idle word? Murmuring. When our people left Egypt, but they were just murmuring, complaining, just complaining and crying. At the end of the day, it's really what it is, that murmuring, never satisfied. Lord can do everything for you, and you still got something to say under your breath. That's an idle word that you'll have to take account for, and the Lord hears it. He hears it, and he doesn't play about it. Remember, the Lord is graceful, but he's not here to play. You can repent, you can turn away, but let's say you're fighting a battle throughout your life, and now you're just murmuring. The Lord might put you through these things. He chastises the ones he loves. Could be easier said than done for a lot of people, but we just got to remember to count it all joy. We got to remember to put the Lord first, and let's pursue these things that edify and give peace to one another. Let's get 2 Timothy 2 and 16. How do we start by doing that? We start by shunning profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Now, this is easier to do among the congregation. There's people out there in the world that they don't care. I mean, you can shun it yourself, but they might have people with them that are with it. Profane, vain babblings. Just, man, don't nobody want to hear that. Those type of people. To shun those type of vain babblings meaning like worthless speaking. But something vain means it in the end it was worthless. Yapping. Absolutely nothing of importance. And then also profane, shun these things. It says, for they increase unto more ungodliness. That's what I'm saying. It's a spirit. You don't shun it and you let it in, it can go onto you. And now you're joining in this vain babbling conversation with them. This conversation that, and man, let me best explain, these type of conversations are just the ones that, man, you don't want to hear that. Turn that off. You might hear something crazy on a podcast on coming off of YouTube. Man, turn that off. That's just a profane, vain babble. They're just, man, the thing, if you really want to see profane and vain babblings, go and look at some of these YouTube videos where these people, these podcasts, and the things that they talk about. The stupid things that they talk about. I mean, that's really what it is. Profane, vain babblings, not edifying at all. And man, these things be 4 hours long of them just doing that. And those be the things that get the most views because that's what people like to see. These shows, these reality shows, these things. I mean, when you think of it, profane and vain babblings, that's a lot of the entertainment. A lot of these shows, a lot of these YouTube videos, these things that are shared with millions of views, a lot of it is profane and vain babblings. And it says it will increase in a more godliness. And that's why a lot of it is like that, because it just increases, because no one's shunning it. That's what I'm saying. This is a scripture that is maybe easier to do among the congregation of brethren, people that respect the Lord, but the world doesn't respect the Lord. So we have to live in a world like this, but that's just for a time being. And we, at least ourselves, can shun it so it doesn't increase in a more ungodliness. It doesn't become a poison. Because the tongue, I mean, that's how we communicate. That's us. Spirit, what we are, what we mean, and the things that we say. You can say the same thing two different ways. Two different spirits mean the same thing. So, it, with these ungodliness, we're gonna go down to Ecclesiasticus 33 and 27, because now that we move on from this idle speech, let's hop down into some just idleness of your time. And why I say this ungodliness, because when we're just wasting our time, we don't have no plan for our life. You know, we don't labor. The Lord tells us to work. You know, there's different kinds of labor. There's labor for the Lord and your faith, but then also you got to go to work, you know, whether it be with your hands or whatever you got to do. You got to make some type of money. You got to do certain type of things. Let's say you got a family to take care of them, or, you know, edifying people. That's labor in itself. There's different kinds of labor. Now, this Ecclesiasticus specifically in context was talking about a servant, but it's true in the sense of send him to labor that he be not idle. So it was talking about a servant, but it says right here, for idleness teacheth much evil. Being left to yourself with no plan and just wasting time, it teaches much evil because you get stuck in a rut. You get stuck in that. Let's say you're just sitting at home playing video games all day, every day. That's idleness. You might be doing something, but that's idleness, and it teaches much evil because, man, that can start to become your God. That starts to become your life. Like the TV, you want to sit around and watch TV all day, every day, because you don't want to work. You don't care to have any type of anything, and you just get up the wee hours. You just up all night, go to sleep super late. You wake up, hop on the game, take a nap throughout the day, and those are your days. Now I bring these things up because this is a lot of our people could fall into it. It's something that can be changed though, and it's a mindset. It's a spirit. The scriptures tell us, it says it teaches, idleness teacheth much evil. Just not progressing, wasting our time, telling I'll do start tomorrow. Start today. Let's not waste any more time. What does he tell us? Him that readeth, blessed is he that readeth. You know, if you got some spare time, really nothing to do, let's hop in the word. Let's start reading. Let's start reading. Let's find things that the scriptures tells us to do. Something that's edifying, something that is righteous in the eyes of the Lord, because it calls idleness evil, teaches much evil. Now there's a difference between, you know, chilling out every here, you know, here and there, or I mean, you know, if you take a nap, or idleness is a lifestyle in the spirit. Because you can really fall into that rut. Man, now you're not doing your laundry. You now you didn't brush your teeth in days. You haven't took a shower. Not but fall into it. And it just becomes a lifestyle. You haven't seen daylight in a week. You open the blinds up, it's just, man, I mean, seriously. I can become that if we choose to stay idle. Now that's idle just physically in this world. There's also that idleness in the Lord. lukewarm, not not seeking after God, not progressing with the Lord, not getting better in the spirit. That stems from a lack of fear of the Lord too. You may have some, but you got to pray for it because you know when it comes that idleness, like not doing the work to Him, not really doing it, not studying, nothing edifying in your life of the Lord, no brotherhood, just you, yeah, stagnant, idle, not moving forward with this truth. It tells it a narrow path. What you're doing is you're standing there like it's a stop sign. So you might have some of it, you might have an understanding, but let's get this going. Yes, everything's in the Lord's time, but that's the spirit we gotta have. Let's get this going. Let's you can start by reading and praying and fasting. What did our forefathers do? And going to the Lord for direction in life. Instead of trying to do it all yourself, burning yourself out and you become idle. Go to the Lord for direction so that He can show you and lead you. But that comes with faith. And we all have to continue to stay true to the faith and pray to the Lord about this idleness that you may be dealing with. Because He's the one that pulls us out of these things. He also is the one right here. Let me go to Proverbs 14:23. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. So as we go here, with all labor there's profit, and this is going to be a theme here with Proverbs. You got labor of the Lord, you got labor, with your job, maybe the different types of labor, but something is coming out of that. You got the labor in the body with the Lord. You're putting in work in the streets, reading, praying, fasting, just chasing righteousness. You're putting that work in to be righteous. What does the Lord tell us to do? The holy days, seeking after, finding out what the new moons, like I said, the holy days. Just what does the word say? How does the word tell us to do these things? There's profit to that. If you didn't seek how to keep this specific holy day, you wouldn't know. But since you labored for the Lord and did it, the profit is that the Lord shows you how to do it right. Your job, if you don't get up and go to work, there is no profit. But if you get up, knock your job out, however you get paid, weekly, daily, every 2 weeks, a month, however, you'll see that profit in that sense. Or take into account, you can look at this in every way of life. Let's say you wanna get right with your body. You've been eating out, been noticing a few extra pounds or whatever, and you can't run as long as you used to. Now you can't even hop a fence no more. Like, let me hop on that and discipline everything. I mean, not being idle is discipline. Disciplining everything in your life. That's what I mean here. So that when you labor towards things, there's profit. Let's say you fix your diet. Naturally, you're going to shed a few pounds. Naturally, you're going to start feeling better. You're going to wake up feeling better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel stronger. You're going to have more stamina, endurance, all these type of things that the Lord tells us. That's that labor forming into profit. It says, blessed is he that readeth, right? So if we read and labor for the Lord, that blessing is the profit. It says, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. Nothing comes of just yapping. You can say all day what you're going to do, but when are you going to do it? That's just like a teacher back in school gave me a due date. And I just talked all the way up until what I'm going to do. And then when it's actually due, I didn't do anything. It was just talk. It was nothing. I didn't actually labor. Let's hop more in Proverbs. Proverbs 21-25. The desire of the slothful killeth him, for his hands refuse to labor. The slothful desires all these things, but it kills him because he doesn't want to work. His hands refuses to labor. I mean, this is Proverbs right here. I got a few of these to close this out because, man, if you want something, it's always, always put the Lord first. Always do it through the Lord, especially seeking after the Lord. If you want the Lord, you can't be a sluggard. You have to go after him. The Lord isn't chasing you. We're going for the Lord. We got to prove ourselves to him. Lord's already proven. So you got that aspect of life, which is the main point of life. But then also, say you need a car. Say you need a car to get around. But you're a sluggard, you don't want to work, you don't care to work. Cars don't just fall, just fall from the sky, land in your parking lot. You got to work for it. There's times where the Lord can even bless you with a free one. Somehow, a family member, some type of something. I've had that happen to me in my life. So I give all praise to the Most High. But then you also got to work for these things. But if you do it, there's profit in it. The Lord will see your labor. It says, the soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing. It's Proverbs 13:4. But the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. How is a soul made fat? It's talking about right here, desiring for the Lord. It's righteousness that's edifying. You found a topic in the Bible that you want to search out? You're interested in the times, looking at the stars and all that kind of stuff? Seek it out. If it's of importance, of course. But you're interested, man, I want to know when we got to keep this holy day, or we got, when does this month start, or whatever, so I can keep this holy day to a T. So what time the sun go down, so I can keep the Sabbath. All these type of things. You got to go research it out. I got 2 apps on my phone, and shout out to the Nashaya Yasalam, who helped a lot with this too. I got 2 apps on my phone for checking out the moon. Before coming into this, I never really paid much attention to the moon. I always thought it was the Most High's creation. It was great, magnificent. But, when you start to learn how important it is to keep in a holy day, now we're out here researching the moon. But if we were sluggards and we didn't have that desire, it says the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. And that's something that should put the fear of the Lord on us, to be diligent, to be disciplined. And I say us, that's all of us. Because being diligent is something you got to keep up. So if you realize, one day, let's say one day, man, I noticed on myself, man, I wasn't too diligent today. Let's rebuke that spirit and let's call on the Lord and let's stay diligent so that the soul can be made fat. Because, we don't want to fall into an idle trap. Idleness is really, that's a trap. Because if you can get by living like that, some people are just content. But idleness, man, I haven't done nothing for the Lord, and he ain't nothing happened to me. And I just, live off people, and, I don't need to work. I live off people. I sleep in all day, play video games, or watch TV, or whatever. And, I don't really desire to have anything of my own. I also don't search out anything for the Lord either. I'm cool. Lord hasn't struck me down. Nothing's happened. There's people that live like that. Man, I've never prayed to the Lord and I have all this stuff. That's idle too in the Lord. Stagnant. You might have a whole mansion and all these type of worldly things, but you don't have no fear of the Lord and no understanding. You're stagnant in the Lord. The most important thing in this whole thing of life that we got. If you don't have the Lord, you don't have nothing at all. That's why, as I close this out, gotta have a spirit of like endurance in this and discipline. And that's why I want to close with this Proverbs 20:4. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. Therefore shall he beg in harvest and have nothing. Man, this is true in its literal sense and also true just in the parabolic meaning it could have. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. So it's too cold. So he's not going to plow. So during the harvest, he's going to beg because he's going to have nothing. He let that stop him. That cold wasn't going to kill him. He let it stop him. One little obstacle, man, sometimes you got to push and endure through things. Sometimes it's going to get cold in this life. And you got to push through and endure so that during the harvest, you got something for yourself. Now, I'm talking about right there in the Lord. Because you can compare all these things. It says he'll beg in the harvest and have nothing. Because he didn't put that work in because some cold stopped him. It was too cold. Now I don't got no food. My family don't got no food. I let that stop me. Now we're gonna be begging. It was too cold. I don't got no food. My family don't got no food. Now we're begging in the harvest time. Cause I was a sluggard and I didn't want to plow. It was too cold. You got to, apply that to the Lord. Man, it was too hard to keep these commandments. I'm cool. Nothing's happened to me so far before keeping them. I'll be all right. And I'm gonna just go back, man. Or I'm gonna have to keep. Yeah, I know it says not to eat pork. That's not too bad. But man, working on the Shabbat, I got to. I have to. I'll lose my job. I have to do that. You would think, oh, I'm not being. No, you're putting your job before the Lord. You're putting your job before the Lord. So I'm using that as an example of an obstacle put in the way, because the sluggard, his obstacle was the cold, and he let that win. He was also a sluggard in his own right, so he didn't even like working. But so staying idle, letting things stop you, there's many reasons you can become idle. There's many ways you can become idle, but they all lead back to no fear of the Lord. I mean, if you really look at anything, a lack of fear of the Lord is what I say. Because you may have it to some degree, but at the end, is it enough to keep you on your toes throughout the day and remembering how the Lord tells us to live? No one's saying you can't chill out. I mean, shoot, we got a whole Shabbat, but even on the Shabbat, the day of rest, Hamashiach was still in the temple, wasn't he? So that does not mean you can't rest. But what it does mean is there's always work to be done for the Lord. On the Shabbat, wouldn't you like to spend your time reading and congregating? I mean, it's a convocation. Come together with your people, reason things out. Yeah, get your rest. But I mean, what, you can sleep the whole 24 hours? It says it was Hamashiach's custom when he was in the temples on the Shabbat. That was his custom. Not necessarily a commandment, but that was his custom. Now we are told as a convocation, come together and spend time righteously with the Lord. Having a good time is an idle time. Just make sure you're balancing your life. If we're going to take anything away from this, balance your life. Don't burn yourself out, wear yourself out, but don't become idle. Don't become a sluggard. If you find yourself in that spirit, call on the Lord. Maybe you're just tired because you worked 12 hours and then you got a class right after when you get home. Go to sleep, get your rest. Man, look forward to that Shabbat. but don't fall into a cycle of idleness physically, mentally with the Lord, slacking off with the Lord, even slacking off in your studies, you've been slacking off on a lot of things. Call on the Lord. And then you got the idleness of your mouth, just idle words you got to take account for. So just remember the Lord in all these things. With that, I give all praise to the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, Shalom.